What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the podcast, Talking Views, episode 99, the Wednesday news. And on today's episode, we're going to talk about NHL trade deadline because that's approaching, and that is on Friday. Formula One is back, so we're going to talk a little bit about the race this past weekend. And college hockey tournaments are starting, so that means the big tournament is coming up soon. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, plus a lot more. But first, let's head into the NFL. So as you guys can see, I'm in a new setting. I'm back home in California this week for spring break. So I got a new setting, a little bit of different background. I think it actually looks a lot better. A lot more natural light. It looks pretty solid on the camera. If you're just listening, I appreciate you guys just listening as well. Just the normal audio as well. Let's get into NFL talk to start this one off. We'll start off with the New York Jets. They have given permission to Zach Wilson to seek a trade. Not very surprising there. Honestly, I think Zach Wilson's time in New York has been gone. Especially with Aaron Rodgers coming back, will not be surprised to see Wilson out of that team. Philadelphia center Jason Kelce announces his retirement from the league. 13 seasons there, all in Philadelphia. Honestly, one of the best players when it comes to linemen. When you could think of linemen, you don't really think too much, but you definitely think of Jason Kelce. So very tough announcement. You could tell in his press conference he was very emotional. Very well deserved because he's had an outstanding career there. Super Bowl champ. I think 7-time Pro Bowl. Great job by Kelce, and hopefully he enjoys retirement because I don't think he's going to be going away anytime soon. All right, let's get into the signings now. So Tampa Bay has re-signed Mike Evans to a 2-year, $52 million contract. Kind of surprising, expected him to get moved, but as of right now, he's going to be a Buccaneer, so good job for him. Houston has agreed with Dalton Schultz to give him a 3-year, $36 million extension. I really like this signing. I think that's a good one to keep him as the tight end there. Honestly, tight ends are very hard to find, so if you find a good one, you got to keep them. Detroit re-signs cornerback Emmanuel Mosley to a 1-year contract. And let's get into the franchise tagging. So we got not everybody, but a good amount. Indianapolis franchise tags wide receiver Michael Pittman Jr., Chicago tags CB Jalen Johnson, Jacksonville tags linebacker Josh Allen, Baltimore tags defensive tackle Justin Madubuike. Tampa Bay tags safety Anton Winfield Jr. And Carolina tags Brian Burns. All not very surprising, guys. The one that is very surprising, the New York Giants do not tag Saquon Barkley, their star running back, meaning that he will be a free agent. Doesn't mean he will not be back in New York. Just means that now he has the potential to go anywhere he wants. I'm very surprised. I think the state of the Giants are not in a good state of winning right now. So what does this mean for Barkley? I don't think he's going to come back. I think Barkley's going to be gone. Some people are saying Houston. I actually could see that. But Houston has a couple of running backs right now that I think are fine. So I don't know where they're going to get all this money and why they'd bring them in, but who knows? It's definitely going to be something to keep an eye out when it comes to Barkley and where he's going to go. Seattle announced they're going to be releasing Jamal Adams. Just honestly has not seemed to be the player that they expected when they brought him in from New York. So just a tough one there. And Denver's also going to be releasing Russell Wilson after March 13th. So this is huge. Denver's going to be avoided $37 million of some guaranteed money. But overall, not a good deal. I mean, Russell Wilson came over, and this is what they gave up for him. They gave him a 9th, 40th and 145th round pick in the 2022 draft, and in the 2023 draft they gave up a 5th and a 37th pick. That's a lot of picks there. And then they also gave up Drew Lock, Noah Fant, and Shelby Harris, along with some cash. $124.02 million so far has been gone towards Russell Wilson's way. So not a very good contract, not a very good trade in the long term. Wilson's only gone 11-19 as a starter, 90.8 QBR. He signed a 5-year, $245 million contract, which he will never play as a Bronco. That deal starts this year. So very bad on Denver's end. I think I've been one of the few guys to publicly say that I do not think Russell Wilson was the answer for Denver. I do not think the last 2 years I've been saying that Denver needs more than just a quote-unquote star quarterback, because I do not see Russell Wilson as a star quarterback in this league anymore. He doesn't show that he honestly has the work ethic towards his teammates and stuff like that. Hear a lot of stuff behind the scenes that just don't make him seem like he's the best teammate which is tough, especially in this league. And honestly, Denver is unfortunately having to see it for their own hands, and now the rest of the league sees it. So I don't know where Wilson's going to go now. Some people are saying Atlanta, some people say Minnesota. I actually have no clue where he's going to go. I don't know. I really have no clue where they go now. Wilson, I would not be surprised if he just took up a backup role. I mean, he's getting paid millions of dollars just to probably do nothing for the rest of his 5 years. So who knows where he's going to go? But it's tough for the Broncos there. That's a tough contract and a tough player to be losing with that much money going towards him. All right, let's head to the NHL. So we actually got a lot of trades going in. We'll start off with the Dallas, New Jersey, and Calgary trade. So a three-team trade. Dallas acquires Chris Tanev and 25% of his contract, along with Cole Brady. New Jersey will get a 2026 fourth-round pick from Dallas, and Calgary will get a 2024 second-round pick, Artem Guchnikov, and a 2026 conditional third-round pick. That condition means they will only get that pick if Dallas makes the 2024 Stanley Cup Finals. So the Tanev contract, let's just break that down real quick. 25% of that goes to Dallas, 50% of that stays in Calgary, and 25% of that goes to New Jersey. Not surprised that he got moved at all. Kind of surprised that Dallas was the one to pick him up. I didn't think Dallas was going to have, honestly, that much going into the trade deadline. Trade deadline, of course, is Friday, March 8th. So this is a little bit earlier than the normal trade deadline. But honestly, I'm kind of surprised Tanev is the one that's going over there. I haven't seen enough of Tanev to make him think that he's going to fit in that system very well. So only time will tell at this rate. But it's pretty smart to get only 25% of that contract. So having New Jersey come in for only a fourth round pick to take care of some of that contract, 50% of it staying in Calgary. So tough scene in Calgary right now, especially because we know that they're going to be selling more players. Most likely Jacob Markstrom will be moving. A lot of people were saying it was going to be New Jersey. That was a couple weeks ago. Still haven't seen a move. So I think they're just waiting for the best offer as of right now, since deadline is Friday. The second trade that we had another three-way trade, Toronto, Carolina, and Anaheim. We'll start off with what Toronto got. They got the bigger trade, or the biggest acquisition out of all this, Ilya Lyubushkin, and 25% of his contract, and along with the rights to sign Kirill Splets. I'm hopefully saying that correctly. Carolina also gets a 2024 sixth-round pick from Toronto, and Anaheim gets a 2025 third-round pick from Toronto. So contract, let's just break that down. Lyubushkin's contract, 25% of it goes to Toronto, 25% of it goes to Carolina, and the rest, 50% of that, stays in Anaheim. So Anaheim actually, honestly, I think won this trade. Anaheim traded for Lyubushkin in the offseason for a fourth-round pick, got a third in return, only has to spend 50% of that contract, where they have a lot of money, so it's not really going to bother them too much to finish off that contract with him. Carolina, kind of surprised to see them in this situation. I was hearing talks about them actually getting Elias Pettersson from Vancouver, and if that was going to be the case, that was going to be very interesting, and to see how they were going to be able to incorporate that. Instead, they don't get him. He gets a spoiler alert extension. But Carolina being in this, kind of surprising. I'm not surprised, or kind of surprised that they had so much money to be able to do this to help out Toronto. And why would they help out Toronto in this case, especially for only a sixth-round pick? Kind of surprising there, but it's good to see Lyubushkin back in a contender. I really like him. I thought he actually played very well in Anaheim. I just knew he was not going to be a long-term player here in Anaheim. So it's tough to see him go, but at least Anaheim got better profit off of him. So good job by them. And the last trade was a very small one, New Jersey and Colorado. New Jersey gets Curtis McDermott, a very strong, quote-unquote meathead kind of player. And Colorado gets a 2024 seventh-round pick from Nashville and Zakhar Bardarkov in exchange for McDermott. So just a very small little trade there. I usually don't talk about call-ups or send-downs, but Anaheim calls up Alex Stalock, which is a goaltender. What does this mean for the trade value of John Gibson now is what I've been seeing. I personally think Gibson's been on the move for the last couple seasons. He has not. I just don't think where they value Gibson is what the league values Gibson, and they're not getting that in return. So honestly, I think overall, having Alex Stalock come up, it could mean one of two things. Gibson's been injured in and out of the lineup as well, so it could just be he's injured and needs some rest. Or it could actually mean because they don't know what they're going to do with him up until Friday. Staylock stays up as the backup, and once Friday hits, if Gibson is moved, Staylock stays. If Gibson's not moved, Staylock goes back down. So just something to note there. Gibson might be on the move, but we've been saying this the last 2 or 3 seasons, so I don't know what to think of it anymore. Seattle happened to scratch Alex Wenberg for trade-related issues. He did not go to morning skate, and he did not play in the game yesterday against Calgary Flames. So honestly, would not be surprised to see Wenberg's name on the trade block. So just keep an eye out on that. Calgary and Washington got 2 waiver claims. Calgary claims Joel Hanley from Dallas, and Washington reclaims Matthew Phillips from Pittsburgh. I think that was a week or 2 ago. They put him on waivers. Pittsburgh picked him up. Pittsburgh put him on waivers. Washington picks him back up. So Phillips going back to Washington. Edmonton also placed Sam Gagner on waivers. Gagner has not been doing good this year. 5 goals, 10 points in 27 games. Honestly, just think it's going to be send down. I don't think anyone's going to pick him up. We got some tough news when it comes to the injury bug. Let's hit it now. Vegas' captain Mark Stone will be out the regular season. He'll be on LTIR. Labeled as questionable for the playoffs. I honestly would expect him to get to play in playoffs. Vegas has found the perfect dynamic of the LTIR money situation. So that will actually open up $9.5 million for him being on the LTIR. So they might go out and pick up a big guy for the trade deadline, and when playoffs come around, activate Stone so that salary cap is no more, and have a very stacked team for the playoffs once again. They also did activate Jack Eichel off of the IL, so that is some money going back into the salary cap, but at least Eichel is back and kind of help out that forward lines there for Vegas. Ottawa plays Josh Norris on LTIR. He actually will miss most likely the rest of the regular season due to a shoulder injury. He's had 30 points in 50 games this year for Norris. I don't think Ottawa's going to make playoffs, so I just think this is actually just a tough news. And they might be out and going to get a player, but I'm hearing things like Chychrun might be on the chopping block. So if that's the case, then I don't think Ottawa is going to be trying to push too much for playoffs, and it's just going to be a tough season for the Senators and Josh Norris. New York Islanders place Scott Mayfield on LTIR. He will be out 4 to 6 weeks. Columbus Blue Jackets Kent Johnson will be out the rest of the season with a torn labrum in his left shoulder. And Detroit's Dylan Larkin will be out 2 weeks with a lower body injury. So a lot of injuries for big names this past week. Vancouver extends Elias Pettersson to an 8-year, $11.6 million AAV contract. Honestly, I think that's a great contract. Elias Pettersson is one of the best players on that Vancouver squad. And with Vancouver doing so well recently, I think having him in this is going to help out Vancouver in the long term. So I think that's actually a really good extension there. New York Rangers extend Jonathan Quick to a 1-year, $1.275 million contract. I also really like this. Quick has done very good rejuvenating his career. Honestly, don't think he's going to have too much longer. Anything more than 5 years, I think would be very surprised. But having Quick to a one-year extension there, hometown team, I think he plays a lot better knowing that it's his hometown team, and kind of giving Igor a run for his money as well for that starting position. So really like seeing Quick getting back in there. Nashville extends Tommy Novak to a 3-year, $3.5 AAV contract. Pretty solid depth signing there. Curious to see how Novak's going to be able to develop over the next 3 years. Kings signed Aaron Dell. Honestly, probably just a minor league contract. It's a 2-way, 1-year, $775,000, which is effective immediately. I think it's just more of just a keeping an Ontario situation, but we'll see. And lastly, Carolina signs Max Comtois to a 1-year, $775 million contract, or $775,000 contract. It's a 2-way. I think it's just going to be a whatever, just rest of the season. Maybe gets in the fourth line. Will probably most likely be in the minors, though, is what I would think. Washington. So we were talking about waivers and stuff like that. They actually had some news go down earlier this week. Evgeny Kuznetsov was cleared by the NHL and NHLPA's Player Assistant Program. So that was good news, but less than 24 hours later, they placed him on waivers for the anticipation to send him back down to the AHL Hershey team. If he does report, he would be the highest paid player in the AHL history. Today, on Tuesday, he actually did report. He was out there for practice. So Evgeny sounds like he's okay with the situation of him going down. I think he probably just wants to try and prove that he's ready to go back and be a full-time player for the Capitals, as that team has been struggling as well. So hopefully Evgeny Kuznetsov is able to figure it out. Well, I'm very curious to see, maybe he is trade bait as well. So maybe someone will find a good trade for him, or maybe Washington will dump him off somewhere else. So curious to see what his name is in the next couple of weeks. New Jersey Devils have fired Lindy Ruff. Assistant Travis Green will be the interim head coach for the rest of the season. His name has been circling the last couple of weeks about potential firing. Even last year, they've been saying that Lindy should be fired. I'm kind of surprised. 6 points out of the playoff spot right now. So it's the kind of thing where maybe it was a long time coming and he just happened to be doing well enough that he keep his job. But curious to see what New Jersey does. They did lose the last 2 games to the California SoCal teams. So I'm curious to see if they get that ball rolling, and maybe Travis Green is able to help them out there. So as we mentioned, trade deadline is on March 8th. And who are the top players, you might wondering, for the trade deadline? So we'll start off with these top 10 players. Noah Hanifin of Calgary Flames, Adam Henrique, Anaheim Ducks, Jake Getzel, Pittsburgh Penguins, Vladimir Tarasenko, Ottawa Senators, Jacob Markstrom, Calgary Flames, Sean Walker, Philadelphia Flyers, Pavel Buchnevich, St. Louis Blues, Anthony Duclair, San Jose Sharks, Jake Allen, Montreal Canadiens, and Alexandre Carrier, Nashville Predators. So all of these players I actually would see going on. When it comes to Anaheim situation with Henrique, I've been seeing that a lot recently. I think they're just trying to find the right value for him. Tarasenko, kind of surprised to see him 5-year or $5 million for a 1-year contract. So it would just be a rental player, I think, from a certain team. Jake Allen, have actually not heard his name very often, so to see him as maybe a potential backup role, I think that actually would be very smart. So maybe Jake Allen gets moved out of Montreal. So I definitely could see all 10 of these guys getting moved. Some dark horse movers that I've seen floating around that I actually do think will probably get moved. Tyler Toffoli, New Jersey Devils, Frank Petrano, Anaheim Ducks, Tyson Barrie, Nashville Predators, Matt Dumba, Arizona Coyotes, and Jordan Eberle, Seattle Kraken. So I actually kind of would be surprised if Eberle and Petrano moved. I think Anaheim really likes Petrano. He's really the only guy that scores on that team. So having him, his trade value is at the highest point right now. So it'd be the kind of thing where, do we want to move him now and get as much as we can out of him, or keep him and potentially have him for, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 more years at this rate? So it's going to be that internal conflict when it comes to Verbeek and what he wants to do in that GM role. Eberle, I think Seattle really likes him, so I'd be very surprised to see him move. But it's the kind of thing where they're not in a playoff spot right now. Could they be just shipping off guys like Wenberg, like Eberle, try to get some draft picks, maybe just kind of just understand that their fate is just not in the playoffs this year. All right, let's head to the MLB. Not a lot to talk about, but enough. Boston signs C.J. Cron to a minor league contract. San Francisco Giants finally get Matt Chapman, 3-year, $54 million. Very surprising that Chapman signed for that much. It seems like it was a long time coming. I think he was asking $120 million, got offered $100 million from Toronto, and then ends up settling for $54 million. So very interesting there, but at least the Giants maybe have a year being competitive here. We'll see what happens with that, though. Philadelphia re-signed Zach Wheeler to a 3-year, $126 million extension. This is the longest AAV extension in MLB history, so great job by Wheeler there, earning the cash. Josh Donaldson announces his retirement from the league. 2015 MVP of the AL in Toronto. He's had a very long, lengthy career, very solid career, so great job, Josh. Hopefully you enjoy retirement. St. Louis Cardinals, Sonny Gray will be on the IL to start off the season, so that's tough news. Just signed for, I think, a 2 or 3 year contract this offseason, so that's a tough acquisition to be starting on the IL. And Boston's Lucas Giolito torn a UCL and a flexor strain in his throwing arm, could miss the entire 2024 season. He also signed a 2-year contract this season for Boston, so that's tough news. Unclear if he will need surgery, so most likely will miss the season. So that's tough for Boston, who definitely needs pitching. And lastly, Colorado Rockies officially dropped the sleeveless black jersey. That is a tough one because sleeveless black jersey or sleeveless jerseys in general are officially gone. Um, they're kind of a hit or miss with certain people. I think it just works with certain teams or certain uniforms. I think the black one happened to be one of those that did work. So that's a tough one. Um, I'll be missing it, but curious to see what new uniforms will be coming out, especially in the next couple of years, because I think we're going to see more and more new uniforms, especially with how modernized most, not just MLB, but NHL, NFL, and NBA teams are getting with their uniforms. All right, let's head to soccer. So not too much to talk about, just kind of throw in some things that I thought you guys should know. We'll start off with MLS talk. Inter Miami trades DeAndre Yedlin to Cincinnati for $172,000 of general allocated money. I'm not surprised that it was just for money because Miami needs money. They have a lot of big contracts right now. I don't know how they're even spending the money for these players, so very curious. And it just sucks it happens to be DeAndre Yedlin to the one that has to move, but I think he's going to thrive in Cincinnati. Cincinnati is a good team. Yedlin's actually a very good right back, so hopefully he gets a good opportunity there in Cincinnati. MLS power rankings, so they will do the top 10 power rankings of to start off the season. Most teams have only played 2 games. Some teams have played 3 so far. Columbus is number 1, number 2 Miami, 3 Cincinnati, 4 LA Galaxy, 5 LAFC, 6 Philadelphia, 7 Seattle, 8 Atlanta, 9 New York Red Bull, and 10 Minnesota. Those are your power rankings for match day 3. International soccer now. So Paul Pogba has been banned from football for 4 years for allegedly doping. That's tough because he's honestly near the end of his prime right now. So once that 4 years is over, I don't know where Pogba is going to go. I know he's definitely going to want to play, but where is he going to go? I don't think he's going to be nearly as competitive. So that's tough news for the Frenchman right there. And Champions League second leg of round 16 start this week. Tuesday, we have Bayern versus Lazio. Lazio's up 1-0 on aggregate. Real Sociedad versus PSG. PSG is up 2-0 on aggregate. Wednesday, Man City versus Copenhagen. Man City's up 3-1. And Real Madrid versus Red Bull Leipzig, 1-0 aggregate for Real Madrid. So that is something to watch for you guys on Champions League. Keep up to date with that. I'll let you know next week because we got 8 more teams playing next week. And lastly, to talk about the U.S. men's national team uniforms did get leaked. Let's react to them because I got the picture right here. Honestly, I really like them. I think simplicity when it comes to these uniforms are very common when it comes to the white ones. So let's start off with the white one here. By the looks of it, it looks like that is more of a pattern of the material and less of the pattern of like a screen-on print for that white. It could be just the video quality. It could actually just be screen printed on. But to me, it looks like different material from Nike. Very basic uniform. I'm guessing they're probably going to go with the blue numbers. They don't have any numbers on either one of these uniforms, but I'm guessing most likely blue numbers and blue nameplate there. The cuffs is where it honestly makes it for me. I mean, you got the red, white, and blue up on the top collar, the blue on the right side, transitioning off to the stripes, making it look like the replication of the flag. Same on the R's, but just the striping, no blue. Really good touch there. I think that looks very good. We head over to the blue. Pretty much 3/4 of the uniform is blue, which I think looks good. So it's going to be most likely a white nameplate. I think Nike is trying a new template here because I think the last template has not been seen as very nice, honestly, for most soccer fans. So I think this actually looks very good. A little bit more simple when it comes to the collar. Just straight blue and straight blue for the cuffs. The bottom of the uniform is where the color comes in. You got the red and the white. Different striping. I can't really, maybe a streaky kind of look stripe, but it's not so much streaky. Look it up if you're listening because it's kind of hard to explain. But overall, I think they both look good. I actually would not change anything about either one of them. Overall, I think it actually looks very good. So great job by the U.S. and Nike there. All right, let's head to racing. So we'll start off with NASCAR, then we'll go to Formula One. Unfortunately, I did not get to watch either one of these races very much. Formula One's always hard to watch when it comes to just having to get up at like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning to watch a race when it is usually blowouts if I Verstappen. But we'll start off with NASCAR. I watched a little bit, not a lot of this race, but honestly, it was very dominant of Kyle Larson. He won stage 1 and 2 and actually won this race, led 181 laps. So Larson took 1. Tyler Reddick was at the 2 spot. He honestly was the best racer outside of Larson as well. Really gave him a run for his money. 3, Ryan Blaney. 4, Ross Chastain. 5, Ty Gibbs. 6, Noah Gragson. 7, Martin Truex Jr., 8, Denny Hamlin, 9, Joey Logano, and 10, William Byron. So a very dominant race by Kyle Larson at Las Vegas. We head to Formula One, where there's a Bahrain Grand Prix. We'll go into, they only had 20 cars on the track, so we'll just do the top 20s here. Max Verstappen, of course, leading this one by a big margin here, winning by 22.45 seconds over his teammate Sergio Perez. So Verstappen and Red Bull get the 1 and 2 finishes, with Perez going 2. 3 was Carlos Sainz. 4, Charles Leclerc. 5, George Russell. 6, Lando Norris. 7, Lewis Hamilton. 8, Oscar Piastri. Number 9, Fernando Alonso. 10, Lance Stroll. 11, Zhou Guanyu. That's one of the newest racers that I do not know their name, so hopefully I got that one correct. 12, Kevin Magnussen. 13, Daniel Ricciardo. 14, Yuki Tsunoda. 15, Alex Albon. 16, Nico Hülkenberg. 17, Esteban Ocon. 18, Pierre Gasly. 19, Valtteri Bottas. And 20, Logan Sargent. All right, let's head to college hockey. So actually more to talk about this week than the past couple of weeks. So let's get into the rankings as normal. Boston College and Boston University stay put at 1 and 2. North Dakota stays put at 3 as well. Denver gets a +1 to 4. Wisconsin drops 1 to 5. Michigan State, Quinnipiac, Minnesota, and Maine all stay put at 6, 7, 8, and 9. Colorado College gets a +1 to 10. Providence drops 1 to 11. UMass gets a +2 to 12. Cornell stays put at 13. Michigan gets a +2 to 14. Western Michigan drops 3 to 15. Omaha gets a +2 to 16. St. Cloud drops 2 to 17. New Hampshire gets a +1 to 18. RIT and ASU stays put at 19 and 20. Other receiving votes that had double digits, Bemidji State had 29, Northeastern had 29, and Clarkson had 10. So the tournament, as we mentioned at the top of the show, is coming up pretty soon. Tournament selection starts on March 24th. That is a Sunday at ESPNU at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So we got a little bit of time, as today is the 5th. This will be releasing on the 6th. So we got a little bit of time there. Regular season has to finish up, plus the tournaments for the conference, which we'll get into right now. So the 2024 conference tournaments. So we'll get into the Big Ten first. Quarterfinals, we have Penn State versus Minnesota. Minnesota winning the regular season 2-0. Notre Dame versus Michigan. Michigan won the regular season 2-0. Ohio State versus Wisconsin. Wisconsin won the season meetings 2-0. And Michigan State gets a bye into the next round. We head to the ECAC, their quarterfinals. We got Princeton versus Harvard, Yale versus St. Louis, Brown versus Union, Rensselaer, hopefully I said that correct, never heard of this school before actually, and Clarkson. Those teams will play against each other, and they'll face either one of each other or one of the 4 byes, which is Quinnipiac, Dartmouth, Colgate, and Cornell. Those 4 teams did get byes into the next round. CCHA, we got the quarterfinals for them. Bowling Green versus Michigan Tech. Michigan Tech led the regular season 2-0. Lake Superior versus St. Thomas. St. Thomas led it 2-0 in the regular season. Ferris State versus Bemidji State. Bemidji State won that one 2-0 in the regular season. And Northern Michigan versus Minnesota State. Minnesota State won the regular season 2-0. Atlanta hockey first round was done last week. Canisius beat Maryhurst 5-1. Niagara beat Army 4-1, and Robert Morris beat Bentley in overtime 4-3. Quarterfinals now. Canisius will face the team that had a bye, Holy Cross. Holy Cross led the regular season 2-0. Robert Morris will face RIT. RIT had a bye and led the regular season 2-0. Niagara will face Sacred Heart. Sacred Heart had a bye and led the regular season 2-0. American International versus Air Force. Air Force had a 2-0 lead in the regular season, and both teams actually had byes. The Hockey East, the first round doesn't even start till March 13th, so we got a little ways away. BU and BC both get the first round byes based off of their records. And lastly, the NCHC quarterfinals don't start till March 15th, so seeding has not been set in stone. The only one that has been set in stone, North Dakota is the 1 seed, Miami is the 8 seed. They will face in the first round against each other. All right, let's get into ASU update of the weekend. ASU swept the weekend again against Long Island University, 3-2 and 4-3. Did not watch those games, do not know much that happened in those games besides they set a program record for wins in a season, and Lucas Sillinger set a single season assist record at 32, and they still have 2 more games this weekend against Alaska Anchorage to extend those numbers. So good job by Arizona State. Keep it rolling for the last weekend of the season. Softball. So we actually had a shakeup in the rankings, so let's talk about it right now. Texas is your new number 1. They jump up from 2 to 1. Oklahoma drops 1 spot to 2. LSU gets a +2 to 3. Duke gets a +2 to 4. Washington drops 1 to 5. Georgia drops 3 to 6. Oklahoma State stays put at 7. Stanford gets a +2 to 8. Tennessee drops 1 to 9. Alabama gets a +1 to 10. Clemson drops 2 to 11. Missouri gets a +1 to 12. Florida gets a +2 to 13. Baylor gets a +3 to 14. Virginia Tech gets a +5 to 15. Florida State gets a -4 to 16. Cal gets a +7 to 17. UCLA gets a +1 to 18. Texas A&M drops 1 to 19. Arkansas drops 4 to 20. Kentucky drops 7 to 21. South Carolina and Mississippi State stay put at 22 and 23. U of A drops 3 to 24. And Auburn drops or stays put at 25. No dropouts this week, but other receiving votes. BU gets 23. Louisiana gets 23. Nebraska gets 13. Texas State gets 12. And Utah gets 11. So we're going to shake up how we normally do our upsets. Usually I go into each series, but I'm changing it up because I'd rather just tell you if you lose one game, that's the reason why you moved up and down the standings. So we'll start off with Friday. We actually had one top 25 upset. Weber State beat number 18 Texas A&M in 8 innings, 5-4. Saturday, Michigan beat number 15 Florida in 10-2. NC State beat number 9 Clemson 6-1. South Alabama beat number 11 Alabama 2-0. Number 24 Cal beat number 3 Georgia 7-2. South Dakota State beat number 16 Arkansas 7-3. Charlotte beat number 14 Kentucky 4-3. We had a Sunday, Jacksonville beat number 12 Florida State 6-5, and Louisiana ended the 71-game win streak of Oklahoma 7-5. Great job by Louisiana. That's the only reason why Oklahoma dropped in this one. Personally, do not agree with that. I think Oklahoma still should be number 1, but very surprising that they lost to Louisiana. And they had one extra upset. Number 10 Stanford beat number 3 Georgia in 3-1. Arizona State update of the weekend. They played 4 games all at home. They beat UC San Diego 15-0, James Madison 5-2, and North Florida 6-5. They did lose the weekend finale 3-1 against Omaha. So 3-1 on the weekend now. They played this weekend against Washington on the road. So very first road games of the season. Very curious to see how they're going to do in that one. All right, let's head to baseball. We'll start off with the rankings. We had 0 movements for 1 through 14, so I'll just repeat who they're at, but no movements for 1 through 14. Wake Forest 1, Arkansas 2, LSU 3, Florida 4, TCU 5, Oregon State 6, Texas A&M 7, Tennessee 8, Vanderbilt 9, Clemson 10, East Carolina 11, Duke 12, Virginia 13, NC State 14. Now we get into movements. Alabama gets a +1 to 15. North Carolina gets a +1 to 16. Texas Tech gets a +1 to 17. Coastal Carolina gets a +4 to 18. Auburn gets a +4 to 19. Dallas Baptist had a good move, +5 to 20. South Carolina gets dropped 2 to 21. Campbell drops 1 to 22. UC Irvine goes from unranked to 23. Texas gets a big move, drops 9 to 24, and UC Santa Barbara drops 1 to 25. Only one team did drop out of the rankings, Indiana. All right, upsets of the weekend. Friday, we had 0 upsets, all top 25 schools. beat the lower ranks. Saturday, we had upsets. So Miami beats Florida, fourth-ranked Florida, 10-6. Akron beat number 12 Duke 4-3. Texas State beat number 15 Texas 11-10, and UConn beat number 23 Auburn 8-4. Sunday, we had Southeast Louisiana beating 11-ranked East Carolina 11-9. Arizona beat number 20 Indiana in 7 innings 12-1. Oregon beat UC Santa Barbara 16-9, and Dallas Baptist beat number 16 Alabama in 12 innings 7-5. Arizona State update of the weekend. Tough weekend for the boys. They had a tough schedule. They had to face A&M twice, lost to them 4-0 and 10-5. Then had to play TCU on Saturday, lost to them 11-9. So they went 0-3 on the weekend, but against tough opponents, they kept it close at least. So hopefully they're able to bounce back into Pac-12 play. This week on Tuesday, they play against Texas Arlington at home, and then again at home against Oregon. So hopefully they're able to figure that one out and get the ball rolling in the positive direction this time. All right, games of the weekend to watch. We'll start off with the NHL. Red Wings and Knights, Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern, or 8 p.m. Mountain. Excuse me. We're still all Mountain time, even though I am in California. Just keep it consistent. Everything's Mountain time. NASCAR, Phoenix International Raceway, Sunday at 1:30 p.m. F1, you got the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, Saturday 10 a.m. ESPN2. Soccer, we take you to the Premier League for Liverpool versus Man City, Sunday at 9:45 a.m. Softball, you got number 7 ranked Oklahoma State versus 14 ranked Baylor. And baseball, you got number 12 ranked Duke versus number 1 ranked Wake Forest. All right, guys. Well, that would do it for this episode. Thank you guys for listening or watching. Tiger with Bees, episode 99 in the books. Episode 100 is a special one. Unfortunately, we had a little bit of issue of the recordings of our faces, but the whole content and the fun episode of another trivia episode for episode 100 is out and ready. So beginning of the episode, no faces. We do have screenshots of everybody so you can see everybody who is involved. Audio still sounds fine. End of the episode, faces and audio is absolutely perfect, what I normally would have. So at least everything is right near the end. Beginning of the episode is just a little wonky, but we are still trying to figure things out. We will get better as we go along. So make sure you guys check out that one. Check out the links down below for Instagram and Twitter so you guys know when this episode and future episodes are releasing, and then updates to the podcast itself. If you guys are watching, hit the like, subscribe, and the bell icon to get notified when these episodes drop. You can know right away before even Instagram and Twitter know. And then if you're listening, make sure you guys give us a 5-star rating. That helps us a lot, helps us grow and get more exposure for other people to listen. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Have an awesome weekend. Check out episode 100 because it's a fun one. And have an awesome weekend. We'll see you guys later.